Hello, Kingdom Hall.
Hi, I just had a question. I was wondering if someone could help me with it.
Okay.
Do you have a minute?
Sure.
Yeah, I had started to learn about the witnesses because someone was trying to get my daughter to join the organization. She was only a teenager at the time, but sometimes I keep up with kind of what's going on because our friends from that family are still in the organization, and I was just kind of blown away by the recent happenings about the child sexual abuse situation in Australia. Are you familiar with that?
No, I'm sorry, I haven't heard about that.
You didn't hear about it? It's kind of like, it was this huge thing in Australia where they investigated several organizations, you know, not just the Watchtower. Even this one leader of yours, Jeffrey Jackson, was questioned under oath. You never heard about that?
No. No.
Wow. When the Catholic Church was having that kind of situation, I mean, all my friends who were Catholic knew about it. Do they kind of keeping that from you, or what's going on with that? It was kind of a big thing.
Yeah, normally, I try and keep abreast of all the news.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I hadn't seen it in any of the news media, the major networks that are available. We also, on our website, have a news release.
Yeah, it's nothing about it is on there. That's what I find really disturbing.
I hadn't even seen it in the BBC News. I usually try and keep up with that.
Oh, yeah, I think it was in the BBC News. I could send you the link. I think they had a few pieces on it, because I think they're having some kind of inquiry, too, called the Charity Commission. But anyways, it's called Australia Royal Commission, and the case with the witnesses was called Case Study 29. So, you could look it up. It's just called Case Study 29, Australia Royal Commission. But a couple of things I found really disturbing about it when I read the transcript of it on that government website was that that man who's isn't he one of the main leaders? Is that called the governing body?
Yeah, we don't. They are. You almost can liken them to managers, but we don't acknowledge human leaders. We don't have leaders, but we have people that supervise the activities.
You don't acknowledge human leaders? I've read in your publications that they call them God's channel, God's only channel on earth. The faithful and discreet slave. They're not human leaders? What?
They're, leaders, when I say that, leaders such as religious leaders. We don't have that. We have, in imitation of what we see in the Bible, we follow that pattern.
Calling them God's only channel on earth is not a religious leader?
Yeah.
Okay, well, anyways, that's a different thing. Oh, although they did address that subject too. They asked him if he thought they were the only ones, the only channel, or the only ones God is using on earth or something, and he said that would be presumptuous to say that. So, you can read it in their magazine, but that was strange. But two other things I just wanted to know what you thought about them. One was that he didn't bother to read the testimonies of women that had been molested in the organization, and it was covered over, and they weren't listened to because of the two-witness rule. Have you ever heard of that?
Sorry, no.
Well, what it says is they would just leave it in Jehovah's hands unless there was two witnesses.
Yeah.
You never heard of that?
No.
Are you an elder?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because it's in the Elder's Manual, Shepherding the Flock of God, which the lawyers there had, of course, and were discussing. So you're not familiar with the two-witness rule?
Well, it's not a rule. It's a mandate set in the Bible, and that's what we follow is what's established there.
Uh-huh. So if someone was murdered and you found a person murdered, you'd leave it in Jehovah's hands because there was no witness or one witness or whatever. I mean, it's a crime. It's not, you think that applies to that? I mean, it was the lawyer brought out a case of a woman being raped with no witnesses, and there was follow through and punishment, and that was in the Old Testament in Deuteronomy. But okay, well, that's very disturbing to me, totally. And they asked them to change that, and then in their follow-up meeting in March of this year, they said they would not. So that was very disturbing to me. And then it was also disturbing to me that he had not even read the testimony of the women and their experience. They had 2 women, and they kind of followed through what their experience was and how it wasn't dealt with. And in Australia, they had a list of over 1,000, situations of 1,000 different alleged abusers, and they didn't call the police on any of them, not even one. So, I just wanted to see what you guys thought about that. I'm so upset by that.
I can see where, news reports of crimes can be very difficult. These are very challenging times we live in. One of the things that we, definitely do is we follow any principle that the Bible states, and, without interpretation. Now, whatever the news reports happen in different parts of the earth, I have no control over that, and whatever laws govern what happened in that part of the world or even in this country, same thing. But we endeavor to follow the laws that whatever state or country we live in.
Well, there's been numerous cases also in the news. There was a recent one in Pennsylvania where the law was mandatory reporting, and they did not. So this woman in Pennsylvania won a large settlement against them. So it's not really true that the organization follows, even if the law requires it, because she was very disturbed as she became an adult and realized how wrong that was. Do you follow all the laws of the Old Testament, considering that was an actual government and that we don't really have a government mandated by God in the New Testament? It's not really a government. It's the congregation, or we call it the body of Christ. Do you follow all the laws in the Old Testament of how they did things?
Well,
because it was an actual country, you don't see any difference with that. They didn't really have a government. They were the government.
Well, as the Bible states, the principles that are there in it, that's what we follow, either going ahead of it or taking anything away. If you check our website and our beliefs, that explains how we view the Bible as well as wherever we're at in the world. But we endeavor to live by Bible principles.
Yeah, I didn't ask that. I said, do you follow all the Old Testament laws for the civic government? They were a government. They were a country. You are not a country currently.
Yeah.
So it's kind of strange that they would pick that one out. They're just getting a tremendous reputation for sheltering pedophiles. There's just been so many cases. They've paid out money. There was a Dateline special. That was a while ago, but there was a Dateline NBC special about it in the organization. And, they rant about the Catholic Church and that scandal, but in their publications about this, they're just silent, Do you have a different standard for the organization than, others, like the Catholic Church? It seems very hypocritical to me.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't recall if there is an additional 2020 report. As I mentioned, we follow the Bible, all of the Bible, which would include both sides, New and Old. Some people refer to it New Testament or Old Testament.
Yeah. Well, you certainly don't follow many of the civic laws of Israel because you couldn't. You're not a country, and now we have a government. So the New Testament does talk about obeying the government. Says it's an authorities from God. It says that in Romans. So what you keep reiterating, you're just repeating something without addressing that. You certainly don't obey all the civic law of Israel. So that's an odd thing to me to choose. It's very strange. It's very disturbing.
Okay.
Would you look it up? Would you promise to look it up for me, and so that you could be informed on this?
Sure.
Okay, it's called, you can see it on their government website. It's called Australia Royal Commission Case Study 29.
Case Study 29.
Yeah. I'd really appreciate it if you'd kind of be informed about that.
Okay.
Okay.
I will check it out.
Okay, thanks for talking to me about it.
Okay.
Okay, God bless.